Hello, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? Lots of news. Well, we got to start with gold. It was at 27.99 right there, maybe 2800, not sure. Now it's 27.95. Silver 31.47. And you can see the difference between gold and silver. Gold goes $42. It was 26 something. About a week ago. Now it's 27.95. I promised you 2800. That'll happen tomorrow. And then silver goes up 77 cents. And that's why I tend to want to get more into gold than silver, because of that whole point where, you know, the difference is silver, I can buy 1,000 ounces and it's nothing. Gold, I can't. Gold, I can buy 10 ounces. So there is that trade-off of how much you multiply by, right? If you got, you can have 10 ounces of gold and it goes up $40, you made some decent money. And the problem with silver is that if you had 1,000 ounces, it maybe goes up $1. So you're not, right now, we're not being able to capitalize on silver getting the $40 moves, which is what we're all waiting for. And JP Morgan's holding it tight, like, no, we can't let it go. We can't let it go. And the banks are going to get buried very soon. Now, gold, I'm going to show you a gold video. And we'll get to Super Bowl later. We got a week. I'm going to show you this video I just watched, which is kind of, I don't really know what happened, but it is kind of telling. So let's see. It's called Gold Shortage, the Crisis in London. The crisis in London and New York.
Types of professionals choosing credit cards. Those who spend hours researching options.
Okay, so I don't know who this person is. I've never heard of her, but we just want to hear the story. And really what it is there's a lot of gold being shipped from London to New York. We'll watch it, and then I'm going to comment on it. So this is it's 6 minutes, so this will be quick.
An $82 billion stockpile in New York, shifting nearly 400 metric tons of gold from London since November's US election. The reason? Fear. So what?
Now, 400 tons is nothing, right? China's got 60,000, Russia's got 25,000, India's got 30,000 tons. So 400 tons is nothing.
Going on. Let's find out. Today, we're diving into a major development in the gold market. There has been a surge in gold shipments to the US from London, and it's raising some serious questions about why this is, what it tells us about faith in Trump's America. There is a growing fear that the Trump administration may impose tariffs on gold imports.
Okay, first of all, that can't happen because you can't tariff money. Now, real quickly, the question is, why is London sending gold to the U.S.? Two thoughts. One, the U.S. needs the gold because their derivatives are way out, and they need gold to pay off the Chinese and the Russians in the COMEX, in the derivative market. They have no gold to pay it off. Two, we're going on the gold standard, but it's only 400 tons. Hardly enough to do it with, but a possibility if he keeps bringing gold over, it's to go into, now, it's to go into the gold standard. How are we paying for this? We have no money. It's worthless. We're giving them worthless money for 400 tons of gold. Not sure. All right. So those are the two analytical comments that the professor would ask. That's how I asked the right question.
And this has had a serious knock-on effect in London, where the wait time to withdraw bullion from the Bank of England's vaults has increased from just a few days to as much as 8 weeks. This move isn't just about tariffs, but it's also about arbitrage. Gold future prices in New York have been higher than the cash market in London. And this has been creating an incentive for traders to shift metal across the Atlantic to take advantage of the price differential. Now, many of you will have seen the FT report that total gold flows into the US could be even higher than what's officially recorded at the COMEX exchange, as there have likely been additional shipments to private vaults owned by the likes of HSBC and JP Morgan. This is a situation eerily reminiscent of what happened during the COVID pandemic. Now, you may remember that back then there was this uncertainty over gold shipments and lockdowns, and this caused a similar rush to stockpile bullion in New York. And now it's happening again, but for different reasons. Now, the US is home for gold futures trading, with most contracts simply rolled or cash settled. However, with concerns over tariffs, New York dealers are asking for physical delivery. And this is something rarely done before. This has contributed to the bullion shortage in London and increased pressure on gold lease markets. London remains the global centre for spot and physical gold trades. It makes the rules, it warehouses the metal, and it runs the global price discovery process known as Loco London. However, gold is now flowing wholesale out of the UK vaults and into US ones due to the price differential between the two locations. This is an arbitrage trade. This shift is putting immense strain on the delivery systems, with each movement of gold taking longer than average to complete. The surge in demand is stretching these logistical capabilities to their limits. Now, another key factor to consider is the impact on the gold leases. London is the hub for bullion lending, where banks borrow from central banks or other market participants and lend to institutions like jewelry manufacturers, miners, and short sellers. But if the cost of borrowing gold spikes, as it has, then this trade quickly becomes unappealing and expensive. Interbank gold lease rates, which typically hover below 0.5%, recently shot up to peak up around 12%. And that is a massive jump. And it's forcing short sellers to unwind positions, leading to a sharp rise in gold prices. As speculators who were betting against gold close out their positions, the price has surged.
Now, if she just said what I think she said, that the short sellers are getting out, we're going to see $3,500 gold very soon. They're the ones who do the derivatives to knock the price down. They're a bunch of idiots, as we know. Now, we noticed in our gold today, and I noticed a little yesterday, there is no derivative drop. It's all up, right? 2 o'clock in the morning. No 6 o'clock drop, no 10 o'clock drop. And we're coming into Chinese buying at 6 o'clock. This is going to be 28 and a quarter tomorrow. So this is perfect. And if what she's saying is, now, I don't know that she understands everything. It doesn't sound like it. This arbitrage, there is no London price. There's no arbitrage. I mean, COMEX would be whatever Russia and China are selling it for, not London. London's physical market, I didn't know they had one. The LBMA is the same derivative paper that COMEX is. So what I believe is happening in English is the short sellers have to cover, because as Mark McGuire tells us, it's one day. So when Russia and China want to get the derivatives that JP Morgan is running when they short it, and then they want to deliver they have to deliver the gold to Russia, China. But if they don't have any, Russia, China, it's illegal to. You have to settle in a day, and the U.S. has not been settling. So I think that's what this is. I think this is the U.S. settling, and they can't do shorts, and this is the $3,000 we've been waiting for. And it'll only be the tip of the iceberg. The tip of the tentacle, as James Bond would say. All right, so that's kind of what I'm feeling is happening. But we'll hear. Mark McGuire's got the stupid guest on, so we won't know. Hopefully Egon will explain this.
Successfully breaching those key resistance levels of $2,725 an ounce. But it does remain, at the time of recording, just shy of its all-time high of $2,790. Of course, it's worth mentioning that President Trump hasn't specifically mentioned tariffs on precious metals. But the fact is that the risk has been enough to push gold deliveries to New York, as some market participants hedged their positions on the US.
No, she's totally wrong. It's going to New York because London can't settle, because New York has to have the gold to settle their positions with China and Russia. That's what this is about, I believe. That's what makes more sense. The U.S. needs gold to settle. Okay, London has it, and they're shipping it. I mean, it's as clear as day to me what's happening. Tariff, you can't tariff money. We've already heard that from, I think, Egon or Mark McGuire. Because it's money, you can't tariff it. And, you know, they're not selling. I mean, this whole tariffs, everything's a tariff. No, it's not a tariff. So there's no danger of this being tariffed and they're hurrying up to get it. I think that's just bullshit. This is us paying off the Chinese and the Russians because we have to settle our T+1 Basel III compliant gold derivatives that we owe the Chinese and the Russians, that we have no gold to pay them. So that's what I believe this is.
Mix exchange. While others seek to profit from the premium of futures over the London spot price. Of course, the Bank of England is not a commercial vault, and it's struggling to keep up with the surge in gold borrowing requests from banks. The so-called Loco London free float, the gold available for OTC trading in London, has of course fallen as a result of these shipments. In the last 2 months alone, 12.2 million troy ounces of gold have been delivered to COMEX-approved warehouses, raising the stock levels there by about 70% to 29.8 million ounces. This is the high.
And that's only maybe 10 tons. I mean, I love when they say like 1 million ounces, like it's a lot. But when you do it into tons, it's like, oh, it's 20 tons. So again, it's this fancy talk.
Since August 2022. This shift has even drawn the attention of the British Parliament's Treasury Committee, where Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey had to downplay concerns about the security of the London gold market, stating, "We are not in the gold standards anymore. It doesn't have the significance for policy in that sense." And he also reaffirmed that London remains a key market for trading and storage. Many commentators and industry insiders are now predicting a major revaluation of gold and silver as fiat currencies and bonds undergo a long overdue devaluation. So what does all this mean? Well, it means that gold is once again at the center of a rapidly shifting financial landscape. Whether this rally continues or corrects depends on policy decisions. It depends on investor sentiment.
Well, there is no coming down. It's not a correction. Nobody's selling their gold. When the guy from England says we're not on the gold standard anymore, what that means is we're fucked. And he's trying to downplay the fact that they just shipped all their gold. Now, the other possibility is we're going on the gold standard, and we have no gold, as everybody knows. So I don't know if 400 tons buys you a gold standard for the U.S., where we have so many people. If it is, then gold will be 30,000 an ounce, because you can't do only 400 tons for 360 million people at 2,800 an ounce. It's not going to work. You need a lot more. It has to be worth a lot more. So I think the revaluation of the gold is coming. I don't think we're going on the gold standard, but I wouldn't put it past them. Too many Keynesians in government to allow that. However, I do think this is to pay off the Basel III derivative the JP Morgans do. So that's what I think is going on here. I don't know who this girl is. I've never heard of her. She makes a little bit of sense and not much. Just the fact the gold's coming from England. So let's ask ourselves, let's be stoic. Why? Why is England sending gold to the U.S.? England doesn't have any gold, by the way. It's probably the U.S.'s gold, but why would we have gold in England? So the real question is, whose fucking gold is this, and why is it coming to the U.S.? Hey, Luke, watching gold. Did you see this video? 400 tons of gold came from London to the U.S. today, and I believe it's to settle the COMEX. You must. They want to take delivery. It's got to be in one day, and the U.S. doesn't have it. Wait till they have to send silver over. Oh my God, they'll be sending 10 ships full of silver to pay off the 4-year backlog that they have. All right, so this is gold shortage, the crisis in London and New York. I never heard of this girl. I'll just start with the beginning a little bit.
Traders have amassed an $82 billion stockpile in New York, shifting nearly 400 metric tons of gold from London since November's US election. The reason? Fear. So what's going on? Let's find out.
Now, she doesn't know.
Today, we're diving into a major development in the gold market. There has been a surge in gold shipments to the US from London, and it's raising some serious questions about why this is, what it tells us about faith in Trump's America.
So 400 tons on that ship coming to the U.S. So I've broken it down to two things. One, we got to pay our COMEX T+1 deliverable. We don't have it. It's 400 tons, and it goes to the Chinese and the Russians. Two, we're going on the gold standard, and we need gold to do it, but I don't think 400 tons is enough to go on a gold standard unless you put a zero at the end of the 27.95 and go from there. So again, 27.96. We're getting there, Luke. We almost hit 2,800. It was looks like 27.99 at about 6:30, and now it's been holding 27.96. Silver 31.50, and this is why we like gold. Gold goes $43. Silver goes 79 cents. So that's the thing. So I don't know who this girl is. I just using rationale that we understand. It's got to be for tier 1 payments. I don't see what else it can be for, and it'll end up in China and Russia. We don't like gold. If Trump was going to buy it, if Trump had gold, they wouldn't be doing this. And if you think Trump is getting gold, you think it would be in the news. There's no way Trump would do it covertly. You wouldn't even know it came in. Now it's going to JP Morgan, big shock. So he's giving it to China. He makes his little profit on it. And then it goes to China. China will end up with 100 tons, and Russia. So I believe it's called, but now the COMEX, she says a little bit later on that the short sellers are done. They're not going to keep short. And that's what I showed. If you notice, and I noticed this, there's no downs. There's no derivative downs at 8 o'clock, at 10 o'clock, where the U.S. shorts, and then it kind of comes back. There's nothing. 2 o'clock, 6 o'clock, nothing. 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, nothing. Noon, nothing. The whole day, it's just up, up, up. So, and even in silver, if you look at the silver chart, it's the same chart. It's dropping a little bit now, 31.49. But even there, it's amazing how it's the same chart, right? So, yeah, good news. I will guarantee 28.25 tomorrow, because we're just coming into Chinese time now, right? So China's now licking their chops going, oh, we're going to buy. And so I look for it to get, once it breaks 2,800, we'll be making our reservations at Capitol Grill within the next month, I would say, Luke, because once it hits 2,800, and if they're done with the shorts, and that's what she says, then sky's the limit and it's going to run. I keep warning people. I tell people at work, and one guy's an engineer. He says, well, I'm going to talk to my wife, and, we got to start buying it. I says, you don't have much time. You don't understand. Not only is this going to be 3,000 within a month, good luck finding it. Where are you gonna? You're gonna go into the coin store. You think he's gonna have ounces just sitting there? And if they are, they're gonna be 3,000, 3,100. Good luck with that. There's something going on behind the scenes. Well, it's called J.P. Morgan and Putin and China. The revaluation of gold is coming and silver, and sooner than most think. Well, like I think Mark McGuire and Egon both said first quarter, and we are now going into February. Now, Trump's tariffs have nothing to do with gold and silver. You cannot tariff gold and silver. You can't tariff money. It's only for produced goods, the cars, lumber, stuff like that, not gold and silver. I saw silver broke 31. Yeah, 31.41. Can't wait for it to run. Well, see, this is what our contention is, Luke. It's been, we have you have, a ton of silver, but let's say the average guy you can easily have 500 ounces of silver. And you're sitting there going, if it goes up 100, I make $50,000. And we're waiting and waiting and waiting. And it sits at 30 and 30 and 30 and 31. And you're like, what the fuck? And that's been the problem. We should be making a fortune on silver because, as Alligator says, it's not the silver price going up, it's the dollar going down. Well, I did a little math. So at 2,700, in 1971, the dollar was 100, is now worth $1. So it's lost 99% of its value. At 2,700, at 99% of its value, would put you at $270,000 an ounce for gold. At 30, it would be it'd be 3,000 an ounce for silver. If you just let it run and the 99% went down from the dollar, went up in gold and silver. So that's always my barking point. Prices go up because of demand. It's not the dollar going down driving gold up. It's the demand for the gold driving the price up. I don't know why Mark McGuire or Alligator is such an idiot where he keeps saying it's the price going up. The gold, yes, it's 1 ounce. It's still 1 ounce. We get that. But it's if you got COMEX out of the way, gold would be easily 10,000 an ounce right now. I mean, tuna's $5 a can. It used to be $1. Oreo cookies used to be $2 for the thing. Is now $6 for the thing. So gold would have went up at least 3 times, which would put it at 10,000 easily if COMEX wasn't suppressing it. But it's allowing everybody to buy it. So we thank you, Jamie Dimon. The only good con you've ever done that's actually helping everybody. A little revenge from the Madoff bullshit you did. So it's definitely going to run, and here we go. And yeah, I don't know what to do. I got money in my safe that I'm kind of holding that I can buy 4 ounces. And I don't know what to do because this is not coming down. This is 27.95. We're hoping for 28 by the end of the show. But so this would cost me $2,900 for an ounce of gold right now. And that's why I buy quarters and halves. And I'm noticing when I go on eBay, I'm noticing the ounces are going up, but I look at the quarters and the tenths, they're not really running too much. So I would expect the quarter ounce to be $850, and it's still $780, $790 you can get in auctions. And the tenth of an ounce I'm expecting to be $400 is still sitting at $320. So I'm not really getting the move on those two, but the ounce is well over $2,900 on eBay. When I go in, I know he's 110 over spot. So if I go in tomorrow, it'll be basically $2,900 for the ounce. And I'll tell you, I don't care. I just bought the Cougar Ant for $2,800 last week or 2 weeks ago. So I really don't care. I'm amassing quantity. I don't care about the price. You don't income average gold. You income average stocks because they go up and down. You don't income average gold. You accumulate gold. I hate the term stacker. We're collectors. We're going to rename this. I collect baseball cards. I collect gold and silver. We are collectors, not stackers. Stackers sounds kind of strange. Have a few grand in cash. Yeah, I do. Bobby Bo, what's up, Luke? Bobby, we are going Capitol Grill in about a month, and gold hits 3,000. We will see you there. The question is, which Capitol Grill are we going to? There's one in Troy, there's one in Pittsburgh, and there's one in Tampa. So we will have to decide who's going to make the reservations very, very soon. I'd say my birthday's March 7th. That'll probably be a good time. When gold breaks ATH, where does it go? When gold breaks all-time high, where does it go? Haven't you been listening, Luke? I'm talking about 20,000 an ounce. It's been held down. This is not the all-time high. This is the all-time high paper gold. Gold will just keep jumping because the panic. This is why I talk Titanic. At the end, the boat's sinking. What does everybody do? They make a massive run for the lifeboat, right? And everybody's trying to get on the lifeboat, and there's only so many lifeboats. That's what's happening. People will realize the dollar's worthless. They'll realize, why is gold 2,800 now? Why is gold 3,000? And they're going to start panicking in, and that's going to jump the price 6,000 or 7,000. And when we run out, then it's going to be like your brother and these football tickets. There's not going to be enough gold for all the demand, which is going to force the price up and up and up. I'm telling you, 20,000. Now it'll probably go 3,500, and then we'll see 5,000, and then they'll probably reprice it at 10. And brics will come out with their gold-backed currency because they'll say, oh, well, you fucked up. You've ruined your money. Now it's our turn to come out with gold. We didn't ruin your money. They did. There's nothing Trump can do. Trump's lost. He doesn't get it. We really don't have a military. We have a nukes, but why would we use nukes? We're really fucked, but they don't know it. They just keep going like the money grows on trees and there's nothing to do. So I would say our first stop will be 3,500, and then on our way to 5,000, on our way to 10,000. And there's really no reason for it to stop because all these countries are broke. I've told you the top 10 countries in Europe are broke: Germany, France, Italy, the UK, Hungary, Romania, Poland, China, and Japan. They're all broke, right? And Russia, maybe not, but they're all broke. And the only thing keeping anybody, surviving is the oil. So Saudi Arabia's okay. Russia's got the oil. So those countries are okay. They're selling their oil. That's it. These countries are broke. Their dollars are worthless. The only out, as I've been explaining for 4 years, is gold and silver. There is no other currency. You can't run to the Swiss franc. You can only run to gold and silver. I think that's why a lot of people maybe are running to Bitcoin, because they're fucking idiots and they think that it's actually real. It's funny. 99% of the people I talk to just kind of laugh at Bitcoin. It's not real, and they all know it. And like I say, the only out is gold and silver, because you can hold it, because you have it. I got 10 ounces of gold. I got it in my hands. Now I could go get it, but that I can't. You can't take it away, and it can't lose value. Bitcoin, you don't even know what it is. You don't have it in your hands. You don't even know if you really have it, and it just as easily could go to zero. And Trump's waiting to tax it. You're going to sell it. So the game plan is you need money, right? You got to pay your bills. You got to eat. Well, what's happening now is people sell their gold to eat. Well, what are the Bitcoin people going to do? They're going to have to sell their Bitcoin, and they're waiting for that, because then they're going to get 1099, because apparently they know everybody who owns Bitcoin, and you're going to get a little 1099. Oh, well, we're assuming you paid $5 for it. You're selling it at 100,000. We want $20,000 in a 1099. That ain't coming to us. Nobody knows we got gold. Nobody knows what we bought it for. And really nobody knows when we sell it, if we sell a couple ounces here and there. So far, big advantage gold. I love how they try to scare you into, well, gold has storage cost and insurance costs. Who the fuck insures gold? Nobody insures gold. You got it in the safe. It's safe. Nobody knows you have it or where you live. So you're pretty much okay with it that you have it. And, what are you going to insure it for? If I insure it, then they'll know I have it. So why would I insure it? If you need to put it in a safe place, you get one of these lockers, put your safe in the locker and you got the key and nobody can get into it. One of these U-Haul lockers or whatever, not in a bank, not in a safety deposit box, because you'll get fucked. So, I mean, if you really are uncomfortable, you do that. No cost, very little. What's the monthly cost to have one of these? $100 and no insurance. So that's where I would be. Maybe you insure a Mona Lisa because somebody might steal it if they see it, but nobody knows you have it. So, if you think I'm insuring my Mahomes card, you're out of your mind. I'm not going to insure it. All right, let's see. So when gold breaks all-time high, it goes to a new all-time high. Do we get there? 27.96. We're hoping for 2,800 on live in class, but we'll see. China should be taking it over soon. Bobby, I'm glad class is on, but I'm struggling as I've been stuck with the flu since Monday. Well, you got to watch Barbara O'Neill. She helps you with flus. The key to flus are your cayenne pepper and your Celtic salt and a lot of water. You're dehydrated, so you need to drink because the flu is a fever. So it takes your water away, which makes it worse. So drink a lot of water, but you don't gulp it down. You take a couple gulps. So this should take you like 10 gulps to drink this glass of water with your cinnamon and your ginger in it, and just sleep it off. And that's really all you can do. But Barbara O'Neill's got one of those. Daria's got the flu also. You've been hanging around with Daria, have you? Although she's in St. Petersburg, Russia, so I don't think so. Bobby Bo, gotta buy what's cheap now, silver. It's like Bitcoin at 3,000. Barbara O'Neill is great. Yeah, she is. Yeah, well, see, this is the point, Luke. Gold hits 3,000 an ounce. Some people can buy it and some can't. It's a little bit too expensive. What I do is that's where I go to the quarter ounce, and it's only 750, 800. Well, that I can afford. So I can still buy gold at 750, 800 a quarter ounce. So I'm fine. However, that's going to drive people to silver because silver's 30 an ounce and silver is money and silver is the next in line. So as gold gets too expensive and then you realize silver is the other lifeboat, you will go, and silver supply is already gone. It's just going to explode soon. And that's the thing. These bullion banks are all going to go broke because they have all these shorts in it at $22, $23, $25 an ounce for silver. It'll never get there. It'll never get under 30. So with that being said, what the fuck happens? All of a sudden, the boat's sinking, the supply of boats is shrinking up, and you'll be paying a lot of money to get on the silver train. So, yeah, your silver, finally, your 6 boxes, you'll be able to buy a house with one box of your silver. So you won't even need gold for the house. But I keep explaining this to work. I said, the dollar goes out, you'll be buying a house. Like, you don't sell. One guy said to me, well, you're going to sell. When are you going to sell your gold? I says, you don't get it. You don't sell the gold. Gold becomes the money. You're going to buy your house with an ounce or two of gold. Now maybe you understand me a little bit better. That's what you're going to use gold for. You're not going to sell it. You don't want toilet paper. Why would I give up gold for this shit, right? Well, I don't want to do that. Or my favorite, the 1 penny dollar. I'm not going to sell gold for that. I'm keeping the gold. I mean, you have a little bit of dollars for rainy days. And I mean, I have some money in the safe, but I'm getting closer to starting to dump some of the money out of the safe, especially since I'm working, to buy the gold before. I'm not worried that it'll be gone. As I went into the store like a week or two ago, my biggest fear is he won't take dollars for it anymore because the dollar will have no value. Why would he take dollars for his gold? And he doesn't get it. I just, Bobby, it's a shake my head moment. Like, how long are you going to take dollars for gold? And he doesn't get it. Well, as long as I can pay my rent and my employees with the dollars, I'll keep taking dollars. And I'm like, thank you, God. I mean, because that's what I'm afraid of. Why would you take this for gold? I'm not selling it for this. Why would anybody do it? The only reason is you want to go on a vacation, you have a bill, and you need money, and you sell an ounce just immediately to take the fiat and pay a bill or go on a vacation or something. Otherwise, there's no way you're selling any of your gold for this shit. Well, I can get 10,000 out. What the fuck would I want 10,000 worthless dollars if I have $10,000 in gold that's going to 20,000 soon? So yeah, it's a lot like big. The difference is this gold's real money and silver, and Bitcoin isn't. Gold would have to go to 200K an ounce to buy a house with it. What are you talking about, Luke? First of all, the house is valued at 500K, or okay, let's say a $200,000 house. So you think your comment holds water. And I'll prove, like my cousin Vinny, that your comment holds no water. It had to be another group of guys in a Buick Skylark that did it because they didn't ride up on the bumper. You can't. The $200,000 house is what? It's in this. It's in monopoly money. The value of this versus the value of gold. You're looking at gold at 2,800 in this. This is losing value as they keep printing it, right? So the house, 200 grand, goes down in gold. So as I said, the Zimbabwe dollar, $1 bought you 30,000 Zimbabwe's. Then they came out with the ZIG, the Zimbabwe dollar backed by gold. $1 bought you 10. So it went from 30,000 to 10 because it was backed by gold. So if we take that calculation, your $300,000 house goes down to 1,000, and gold's going to be 10,000 an ounce. How many ounces do you need? 2 at the most at 10 grand an ounce, because the house value falls because it's in watered down monopoly money. So gold will not stay valued at 2,700, 2,800. That's my point. So the value of all this, everything valued in dollars goes to zero when the dollar goes out. That's what you're waiting for. Then you're going to use the gold as the money. The house value goes to zero, and then 2 ounces of gold, maybe 20, 30,000 an ounce. And the house will only be worth 50,000, not 500, because that's in play money. And that's the point. I thought you got that. I said that to you before, so I thought you got that. How does the U.S. Treasury do it? U.S. Treasury do what? Explain to me. How does the U.S. Treasury ruin the money? What do they do? I mean, they don't do much, but so everything will be revalued in gold. Revalue gold. I don't really know. It's on their balance sheet, I guess, or COMEX just comes out and says, well, the 2,800, it's now 10,000. It's a bank thing, and I think the bank just says gold's now worth this. So they'll just say gold's worth $10,000. But I know it's the banks revaluing it. So I don't know if it's the Treasury or the Federal Reserve or JP Morgan, somebody. they'll just come out and say it's worth X. Now, what really should happen is the market should determine it, meaning me and you are buying it, and if we want to buy it for 10 grand because we need gold, that's the new price. So it should never be marked by the banks or the government. It should always be free market, and that's what we bitch about. That gold should be, I was getting my hair cut, and I was talking to my barber about it, and I said to her, free market is you put a price out. I'm going to cut here for $25, and I agree to the price. That's your price, 25. That is a free market way of doing it. And if you price it at 50, you're not going to have anybody here. And if you price it at 10, you're not getting enough value for it. So you're not going to do it. So it's 25. I do that with Teaserking. I want to get 100 a week for my picks. And then I did the class just to kind of do a class, and I did it for 25, which is way too cheap. So I didn't like that. I won't do it for 25 next year, but it's got to be a price that both sides are happy with. And I don't want to be under really $100. I'll give a break, college and pro, for 100 for the week. But most people normally buy a month, which is $300. I'm comfortable with that. But it's really the price. When we go to Barcelona, we go to the airlines and they put a price out there and we agree to it. That's the market. And if it's too high, we don't fly, or we fly in other airlines, or we fly to another country or another city, because it's not a good trade for us. We're trading our cash for the plane. We're trading our cash for the hotel and the food in Barcelona or Amsterdam or wherever we go. That's free market, right? And that's what should be with gold. Gold should be, what do you want to pay for it? I'll pay $5 grand for it. Oh, okay. And that's how you get the market. So right now, the banks revaluing it is bullshit. That's not how you get that still won't be a real value for it. Like silver at 30 an ounce. You could sell silver at 100 an ounce. You'd have 1,000 people wanting it. I'd pay 100 an ounce for silver because I know what it's worth and I know how limited it is. And I know you can't inflate it or print it. And I know it's going to run. So what they do is psychologically keep it at 30. So nobody wants it because they don't think the all-time high is 50. Well, that's bullshit 50. That's JP Morgan 50 with his derivatives. That's the paper price of silver. So when you're telling me all-time high of gold, that's the paper all-time high, not the physical. I give you the physical price, 20,000. We're close to getting there. I don't know what this boatload of gold coming to the U.S. is, but I think it's to cover the derivatives that it's T1 you got to cover, and we don't have the gold to cover, so we need the gold. Why it's being on this show where some girl's showing a boat that you assume has gold on it, which you don't know. So they're shipping gold here. How that even got out, I don't know. But if it is, it's to settle these derivatives, because I'm sure Russia and China are putting pressure on them to settle it. You can fuck with us. You can't fuck with the Chinese and the Russians. If you owe them gold, you better settle it. So that's really what we're looking at. All this Trump stuff with these tariffs. Okay, so what's a tariff? It's a tax. You're going to sell us, China, you want to sell us TVs, and you're going to undercut it, and you're going to sell them for $100. But we can't compete because our wages are way too high, and our labor is too high, and our taxes are too high. We pay our people $60 an hour, and they pay their people $2 an hour. So Trump says, well, I'll put a tariff on it. So instead of $100 for a TV, I'm going to put this tariff on it, and you're going to sell it for $300. And that's about what we can sell it for. So if it's U.S. made, it's $300, if there's any U.S. made, but just for this example. And so therefore, he's trying to make it, we'll buy American because there's no price difference. But it hurts us because we're the ones benefiting by the Chinese putting the goods for $100 for a TV, and we can't compete with them. So Trump's out of his mind because he's trying to say, well, we'll be a protectionist nation where we'll only sell American. And who does that hurt? It hurts us because now the prices of everything will go up. You won't collect you might collect some taxes, but really what you're doing is you're fucking all the consumers, because now the Camry I buy for 25 is going to be 30 because you're going to tariff Japan or China or these electric cars or all the shit made in China. And what that does is causes depression because you've raised the prices over market. I've agreed to pay $25 for a haircut. If you're tariffing it and I got to pay 50, that doesn't benefit me. I can't do it, so I won't get my haircut as often. And you're going to put the hairdresser out of business because nobody is going to pay her $50 to get their haircut. And that's what happens. So all the goods, you think, I don't know who you think you're you think you're hurting China by tariffing it, but you're hurting the consumer because we're going to pay more, and you're not helping the U.S. companies because now they know, well, China can't sell this TV. They sell for under $400, and now I can sell it for $400. So the price won't go down. It won't stay down. And now we got to pay more. So we're not going to spend. We're going to buy less because the market dictates that it's too expensive. It's not a fair trade for us. And so we don't buy, which means companies lay off because sales are down. They can't make profits. They lay their people off, so they can't buy. It's a domino effect. So nobody goes to the ballparks because I don't have money to go to a ball game. I need money to eat. And since Trump just raised my costs on everything, I got less money to do it. And I probably lost my job because now you're killing me with it. So that's what ends up happening with tariffs. So in the 1930 Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, he tariffed all the wheat and all the farmers. So it costs more for us to ship our goods to the other countries. They needed our wheat and corn in, let's say, Europe. But now it costs them more, so they couldn't afford it, so they didn't buy it. So the farmers didn't make their profit on their crops, borrowed from the banks to do their crops, and then when they sell them, they pay the bank back. Well, they couldn't pay the bank back because they couldn't sell because the cost was too high. It was over the market. Once you start fucking around with the market, nobody wins because that is the end of it. So the banks all went out. Well, that's what's going to happen now. Well, first of all, the banks are in big trouble because of these commercial real estate loans, the strip malls and the office buildings that nobody's in. So they're not renting them out. So in the bank, JP Morgan says, hey, I need my rent money. They're going to say, I don't have it. I don't have anybody that's using my building, and therefore, sorry, I'm out. And they'll sell the building for pennies on the dollar to the banks or just simply default. And as we know, the bank runs on the interest that they get from these phony loans done with money they don't have, that they just printed out of thin air. So I'm due $10,000 from, the Rockefeller Plaza in New York. Oh, they can't pay me. So now what do I get them? What am I going to do with the Rockefeller Plaza or the Empire State Building? So all those stores and buildings and offices are not being used. And I'm the bank, I'm fucked because I'm counting on that money to pay my depositors off. So if you put $100,000 in Chase, and Chase has the Rockefeller Center, and they've loaned the money and they're expecting the payments to come in to pay you guys, but they're not getting the payments in. So they're broke. Now that's coming very soon. And this is the problem. And so the banks go out. Now I'm wondering with my Chase credit card, what happens to that? Not only is the bank going to go out, so who do I pay, but the money goes out. So what do I pay you with? And this is going to be interesting. And this is what we're waiting for. So I never know how much to pay on my credit card. Do I pay minimum payment knowing that the money's going to be worthless, or do I pay a little bit more? I'd rather pay a little bit more because I want to buy gold, which I know will go way up, which will handle, so if I put $2,000 on my credit card because I bought gold with it, then I know I can get I'll get $5,000 for the gold to pay the credit card that I only owe $2,000 on. So I've done that a lot in that. Luke, did you see Trump's new Secretary of Treasury, Scott? Yeah, he's a Soros guy. Gold has to get revalued by the U.S. Treasury. Okay. How can you allow the whole thing to go bankrupt? Every loan is forgiven. It's not like you're allowing it to go bankrupt. The money is worthless. You bankrupt it yourself. You have a $36 trillion debt. You're bankrupt. It's not allowing it. So let's say you owe $50,000 on your credit cards and you lost your job. Or let's say you're your friend, the $4 million man, the bionic man. And now he lost his job. And let's say he owes $10 million in credit card debts. Where's he going to get it from? And he's got money in money. He doesn't have money in gold and silver. So all his money is losing value. So he owes $10 million, but he's only got $4 million. So how does he pay it off? He goes bankrupt. It's not like you choose to go bankrupt. You go bankrupt because you owe and you can't pay it. We can't pay the 36 trillion. We got 160 trillion out there coming home. Half the countries are de-dollarizing because they don't want to hold dollars, and they're all selling it. And it means it's coming back in to buy gold, and all the prices are going up. I noticed that at the grocery store. I noticed my utility bills starting to go a little higher. I'm thinking it's because it's so cold. It's finally snapped. It's finally like 30 degrees here, but it was 20 below for 2 or 3 weeks. So I'm assuming, well, I had to have my heat up higher because of that. We'll see. I think that's the main reason, so I can kick my heater down again. But that's the point. You're bankrupt not by choice. It's not like that's why you come out with a new dollar. Maybe that's what they're trying to do with Bitcoin, saying, Bitcoin is going to replace the dollar. The only problem is not everybody has it, and I'm not going to get paid in Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is something that's a private thing, so it'll never work. The CBDCs, you've got to want that. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants to be controlled. Nobody wants to be cut off. And if that's not backed by gold, that's worthless also. Any of this shit that comes out, that this or this comes out, and it's not backed by gold, it's the same thing. It has no value. This is just paper. The value comes from the gold that backs it. This is just cardboard. The value comes in that there's only 50 and it's Mahomes. That's the value. Otherwise, this is just cardboard. So that's where the value comes, because the dollar is backed by gold or silver. And just on its own, it's just paper, and it has no value. And that's where we're at. It has no value. And you're printing and printing and printing, and you're running your debts up, and you're bankrupt. You are bankrupt. You can't pay off your debts. You're bankrupt, right? That's the simplest definition. You owe 10 grand. You don't have it. You're not working. What are you going to do? You go bankrupt. That's your choice. It's not like you're letting it. I don't have a choice. I can't afford to pay it off. And you're bankrupt, and that's what you do. It's like the world is bankrupt. Exactly. That's what I've been talking about for 4 years. That's what I tried to tell you at the airport. All the dollars go to zero because they keep printing it. And to pay their debts, and we are all in debt. Every country's in debt because the idiots are not backing their dollar by gold. This is George Soros. This is Scott Bissett that you're talking about worked for George Soros. So now you got George Soros in charge of your treasury. Yeah, really good move there. So the problem is the whole world is worthless, is bankrupt, right? It's like how many hundreds, like 200, 300 trillion dollars in debt, the world. They can't pay it back. You can't print the money to pay it off because the money isn't worth anything. Or they would. And if they had gold, they would make gold 100,000 an ounce. So if we follow your logic and we actually have 8,000 tons of gold, why aren't we making it 20,000 an ounce and taking it and paying off our debt, which is basically owned to China and Russia and Japan and all the European countries who bought our T-bills. I mean, that's basically what the debt is. We don't have money, so we're overspending. So we get $1 trillion in taxes, but we're going to spend $5 trillion. Where are you getting the $5 trillion? Oh, we'll print T-bills, and we'll let China and Japan and Germany pay for the T-bills, which will allow us to pay the other $4 trillion. So it's like me and you making $1,000 a week and spending $2 trillion. Well, you can't run a deficit. I'm only getting 1,000 in. I can only spend 1,000. And that's what they're doing. So they're just printing it and they can't, and they just keep printing it. And now nobody wants our T-bills because they know it's worthless. You got a $36 trillion debt plus another 50 trillion in these derivatives and all this other shit. So where are we getting the money to run our government? It's just make believe. It's like the banks. They just print money out of thin air and loan it out and expect you to pay 5% on your money that they just printed out of thin air. It's the stupidest system I've ever heard. You just roll your eyes as an Austrian economist. You can't believe that this is actually happening. This is so stupid. This is Keynesian economics at its thing. This is why I'll write when I hear these gold guys, and I just say, these are Austrians. These are Keynesians. It's been done. It doesn't work. It can't work. You can't keep printing without any effect. That's why I keep telling you, you have to back it by gold. It's the only choice. Look what the Romans did. They had gold and silver. They took the gold and silver out of their coins, and next thing you know, they're not the Roman Empire anymore. And Spain and France and England and all these. How did England kill France in 1795? They counterfeited all these French francs and dumped them in France. All of a sudden, the French franc was worthless. End of that war. So, I mean, it just shows you cannot print it. And so if you're not going to have your gold-backed currency and you're all stupid idiots who want to keep printing and printing, you're going to go bankrupt 100% of the time, which is what I was trying to tell you at the airport. And you're going, well, how about 10%? I said, no, it's going 100%. And that's what happens. Yes, the whole world's bankrupt. Yes, that's why you buy gold and silver, because the only lifeboat for the whole world is gold and silver. And when all these people realize it, the Germans, the French, the English, the Italians, the Chinese, the Japanese, well, the Chinese understand it and the Russians do. The Japanese, when they all realize the only lifeboat's gold and silver, what the fuck do you think the gold price is going to be? And that's why I tell you 20,000 is conservative. Because once they all realize it, and they're all realizing it very, very soon, and guess what happens when we go out? They think we're safe haven because we're the reserve currency. Well, we're still fucked, even if it's a reserve currency. If you print 160 trillion, it doesn't matter your reserve currency. It's worthless. And you're worthless, and you don't have how can you have a military? You can't afford any weapons. How are you going to get weapons? So you need to come out with a new dollar, which is my point. So now they'll come out with the new dollar, USD number 2. If it's not backed by gold, worthless. Bitcoin, not backed by gold, worthless. CBDCs, not backed by gold, worthless. Whatever they choose, if it ain't backed by gold, it's worthless. So don't get excited with the new currency unless it's backed by gold. So we say, fuck that. We're just going to buy gold. And when we need to sell it, that is the currency, is the gold. And that's why we never sell it. We just use it as the currency. We go buy a house. We go buy an island because it's going to be worth so much. Your head will swim. You won't believe the value of it, and the silver too. Let's see. The world is bankrupt. I think we have it. I think we will eliminate the Fed with revaluation in gold. Well, JP Morgan's not going to eliminate the Fed, and he runs the country. Judy Shelton is calling for a gold-backed treasury bill. What the fuck good is that? Who wants a gold-backed treasury bill? You need gold-backed currency, not treasury bills. So people will buy our treasuries because they're backed by gold. Well, why wouldn't you just buy gold then? You know, it doesn't. No, she understands that the treasuries are worthless. So we need money, but why not just sell gold? But you don't have any gold, Judy. We have no gold. So, I don't want to keep going over this with you, Luke, but we don't. If we did, we would revalue it and pay off our debt. And we don't. Why do you think we have it? I guess is always the question. I wonder where your mind's at that says, yeah, we have gold. I'm sure of it, even though you've never seen it audited since the 1950s. How are you sure we have the gold? And I'm sure that it's China who has. We've sold it to China, so I'm sure any gold in Fort Knox belongs to the Chinese, not us. So again, if we had it, we would show it. You question me, I show you my gold. I go to the store, I show you, hey, this is what I bought. But if I didn't have it, I couldn't produce it, then you'd call me a liar because look, he says he's got gold, but he won't show it. I show you the Mantle card. I show you my Bobby Orr card. I show you the cards I have. I think it's an interim play with Judy Shelton. Well, who the hell's Judy Shelton? Is she doesn't work for the Fed. Trump didn't name her. He named Bassett. He named the Soros guy. Anybody that would work for George Soros we got big trouble, right? Starting with the U.S. Treasuries. I don't know. I mean, I don't know who revalues it, but I know one or two countries that want it revalued called China and Russia. And when they come out with the gold-backed currency, not gold-backed T-bills. Gold-backed T-bills okay, so people will buy our T-bills, but our dollar's still worthless. Why don't we just sell our gold? I mean, why do a T-bill? Why not just sell our gold? And then why not just raise the price of our? So if let's talk here logically. Luke says we got 8,000 tons. Why don't we just revalue it and sell that to pay off our debt or to run our country? Why do we need to back the T-bills by gold, which we don't have, which nobody's going to believe until we show them the gold, that it's actually gold back. In 1971, de Gaulle's the one that wanted Nixon takes us off of gold, and de Gaulle in France says, well, then I want my gold back. I don't trust you that because you're gonna print your dollars to nothing, which is what we did. And so he said, here, I want my gold. Well, who's gonna give them? Why would you buy a T-bill? Oh, it's backed by gold. Well, show me the gold. I mean, it still gets down to show me the gold. And Judy Shelton thinks we have gold. We don't. If anything's there, it's Chinese. So I still don't buy it. I don't know who this Judy Shelton is. I know she likes gold. She's living in a fantasy if she thinks we have it. And if we do have it, why not just come out with a gold-backed currency? Why a gold-backed T-bill? What's the point of that? If you have the gold, just mark it high and sell it. And that's how you get out of the debt. You don't want to be bankrupt? Then price your gold at 20, 30,000 an ounce and start selling your 8,000 tons, and you'll be fine. You'll have a lot more than 36 trillion if you really have 8,000 tons of gold and you make it $20,000 an ounce. So I don't buy any of that. It doesn't make any sense. Just sell the gold. Don't back the T-bills with gold that you don't have. And again, you'll have to prove it. Nobody's going to buy your T-bills backed by gold if you can't prove you have the gold, which nobody believes that we have gold, including yours truly. She was Trump's Federal Reserve chair pick, but she didn't get it because Boog Powell's still there. He's an idiot. well, we're going to leave interest rates alone. Our inflation numbers is still at 3%. We're still worried about inflation. You don't even know what inflation is. Oh, I finally heard. So here's why they raise interest rates. I heard this. It was fascinating. This is about the stupidest explanation you can have. They raise interest rates so you'll save your money and you won't spend it. So the prices will come down, not buying it, because they think prices are inflation. So if you're saving your money instead of spending your money, you're not buying Coca-Cola. They'll lower their price because they're not selling it, and that's how you're going to stop inflation. Oh my God. I heard that. I don't know why. I think I was at work. I almost fell down. So we're going to lower the interest rates because we want you to spend your money because we don't want you to save it. Sounds like a Keynesian plan. Keynesians want the government to spend. So when they lower interest rates, it's so you'll spend your money. Somehow, neither is got anything to do with inflation. You print the money. That's the inflation, inflating the supply. That's the inflation. Whether the prices go up or down does not have any bearing on the inflation. So raising interest rates have no bearing on the inflation. Lowering interest rates have no bearing on the inflation. Stop printing the fucking money. That's all you got to do, and burn about 50 trillion of it. Then you would stop inflation. Otherwise, the only way to stop inflation is to have gold-backed currency, because the inflation is with the currency. This is the inflation, this U.S. crap. The little monopoly guy on this, right? The little choo-choo train. That is you're inflating this dollar. So there's two ways. You come out with a new dollar, but if it's not backed by gold, temporarily you stop the inflation on this until it goes to the new dollar, the Bundesbank, the Deutschmark in Germany. That's how they stopped the Bund dollar, whatever it's called, the Bundesdollar. That's what they were in the wheelbarrow with. So they stopped it with the Deutschmark. That's what stopped it because the inflation was in the dollar, and then when they got rid of it and went to the new dollar, the inflation stopped until Hitler came in and needed to spend for the military, and then they were broke again. So if Hitler went broke, what chance do we have? So Hitler went to war to steal all the gold. Why are we at war? What gold is there to steal in the Ukraine or in Israel or in the Middle East? There's probably a lot of gold with Saudi Arabia, but we're not getting our hands on it. So that's really the problem. It's you can only stop inflation with gold because you're not printing it. And, I just don't get, they're all Keynesians, and Keynesians, you guys asked me where I could get a class in Austrian economics, and you can't because they won't teach it. I learned it in 1995. I graduated with my master's. And shortly after they stopped it, and now you can't find it because I understand what's going on and they don't want you to understand it. So that's really the problem with it. Luke, I think Trump's Bitcoin is beating inflation by far. No, it isn't. You cannot stop inflation only with gold. Bitcoin, yeah, the Bitcoin price, but if you bought it now, you're not. It's at 105,000, but it's not really beating inflation because it's priced in dollars. It's like the $500,000 house. Then when the dollar goes out, it'll be worth zero. Well, the Bitcoin will be worth zero. I'm not on mute. I didn't mute anything. I'll mute and then come off mute. Now I'm not. Can you hear me now? Oh, okay. I was going to say I didn't touch it. I have a little mic, but I don't touch it. I don't mute anything. Go back to Bitcoin. So, the Bitcoin will go to zero because it's priced in dollars. And as you eloquently say, a Bitcoin's a Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, what's a Bitcoin worth? A Bitcoin. But what it's not backed by anything. So it really doesn't have a value. And the fact people are bidding, it's only 10 guys. It's this whatchamacallit, that Sailor guy and Larry Fink and a couple of Russian mafia. They're the ones bidding Bitcoin up, but that's it. Sailor buys like a couple $1 million every month of Bitcoin. That's why Bitcoin's high. It's really 10 guys buying it. But eventually they're going to cash out and then it'll go to nothing. It isn't anything. That's the problem. Look, if it was, I'd be telling you to buy it. I tell you to buy Mantle cards and I tell you to buy Rolexes. So I have nothing against Bitcoin. I don't like it's digital, but it has no value because it isn't even real. It's like the OneCoin queen who scammed everybody. It's like Madoff. Was Madoff real? Well, he's paying you 15% a month, Madoff. It wasn't real though. He was getting the dollars from other people and giving it to you. He had so much money coming in that he could give you 15% every month, but it wasn't real. I wish it was. I don't know why it stopped. I don't know why he just didn't end it. So at a point, he can't think it's just going to keep going on. Why he just doesn't end it, and then he wouldn't have gone to jail. Nobody would have caught him. So I don't know what he was doing. I think the Russian mafia kind of was involved, and so was J.P. Morgan and the SEC, and I think he was just the front man for it. It's like Lee Harvey Oswald. He was, I guess, a CIA agent, and he didn't kill Kennedy, but he probably couldn't get out of it, and he was the scapegoat, no loose ends, and I think that's what happened. And I think Madoff kind of got in over his head and couldn't get out. And otherwise he would have, because it makes, and then he took the fall. So, yeah, I was on my own. Yeah, sure you were. But it didn't have value either because, but for years you got 15% on your money. And if you're in Madoff and you say, hey, Howard, for 5 years, I'm getting 15% a month, if I'm stupid, I would get into it also. But at my level, it can't be happening. You can't, if interest rates are 3%, how are you getting 15%? Well, he invests in the stock market. No, he is not. You cannot always get winners. It's like me betting football. I can't go 100% every week. I can't pick every game right. Yet that's what Madoff was doing. He would pick every stock. It never missed. Every month he won. That's impossible. You can't do that. So you got to look at the lining. So if we had gold, and I want us to have gold, I don't want us to have gold, but if we did, why don't we just make the price 50,000 an ounce, pay off the debt, and everything's fine. And then we won't need gold-backed T-bills. Again, Trump with the tariffs. I don't know if he's trying to pay off the debt or what. This Bitcoin, you can't use it because it's private. If you own it and Bobby owns it, Trump can't get it. It's not government money. It's private money. It's like I own the Mahomes card, and let's say it's worth $100,000. Well, Trump can't use it because it's mine. He can't use the Mahomes card to pay the debt. It's my asset. The Van Goghs, the Picassos, they're not governments. The Bitcoins are not governments. That's the whole point of Bitcoin. It's no government. So Trump can't do anything with it. Is it beating inflation? Yeah, but you got to sell it at some point. You're going to pay a big penalty on 1099, which is why it's so expensive, because Trump wants the tax because he needs to pay 36 trillion. That's why. Use logic. Why is it so high? Why? Who's in it? Michael Saylor and Larry Fink and a couple of Russian mafia. That's it. And they're laundering their money with it. This is not a very good investment. It's not even real. And it can just as easily be turned off. And you go, what happened to my money? Just like the attack on Wall Street guy had $60,000 in real estate trust, right? $60,000. Then he goes and he looks at his statement and he's got zero. What happened to my money? Well, we delisted your note on these loans, and you don't have, and now they're gone. So he went from 60,000 to nothing on real estate trusts. So he thinks he's getting paid rent for these houses. They delist the note, they just dissolve it, and now there is no note, so he has no value. And that's what Bitcoin's going to do. But in gold, it can't do it because you own the gold. You have the gold in your hand. Nobody can say it's worthless. Nobody can take it from you. But you can't hold Bitcoin in your hand. So it's going to be a Ponzi scheme. It's already a Ponzi scheme, but it's going to end badly. They're going to take it from you or something because the government wants you in dollars. They don't want us in gold, and they certainly don't want us in any other. Now, in an asset, a Rolex, okay, that's a different story. And you actually have the Rolex or the Mano card or the Bobby Bow card. You actually have it. So they can't take it away from you. They can't make this card worthless. They can't say, well, the Mahomes card's worth zero. They can't do it because the market will dictate, not them. They can't override the market. And that's where we're getting to with gold and silver. They can't do anything about the market. Like you're saying, well, they'll try to stop it or they'll try to make it worthless, but they can't. They're trying and they can't. It keeps going up and up and up. Let's see if we got 2,800. Come on, 2,800, 27.97. Oh, wait, could be higher. Come on, 2,800. 27.97 gold, 31.37 silver. So silver's dropped a little, but gold 27.97. We're so close. U.S. constitutional money is gold and silver. Yes, I know that, but they're not following the Constitution. Constitution says no fiat money, no central bank. The banks will compete with the money. So what used to happen in the 1800s was there'd be banks and there'd be 10 different banks with their own money. And therefore you never had inflation because they were competing. And if one bank inflated their money, you would go to the other bank. That's how it should be. It should never be a monopoly. And guess who did the monopoly? JP Morgan, of course. And they run the Fed, of course. They're the most corrupt bank, and Jamie Dimon is the biggest criminal. He's probably mafia. There is. It's sort of like that casino movie where the guy was the figurehead for the casino, but so that's Jamie Dimon. He's just the figurehead, but he does all the corrupt things, and they get away with it. He did Madoff. He did half a dozen. This whole real estate market and everything else. He was behind it all, but nothing happens to him. But yes, I agree with you. But why don't we have gold and silver? How did we get away from that? How did we get into a central bank? In the Constitution, there will be no central banks. Yet every country has a central bank. It blows your fucking mind. Why does everyone there? So Trump comes in. There's nothing Trump can do. Well, I'm going to eliminate this and that. He can't eliminate anything because they're not going to let him. Because it's not run by the government, it's run by the banks, run the government. And if JP Morgan wants the Department of Education because they steal all this money, they're going to have it. If they want the Teamsters, they're going to have it. If they want the waste management, the garbage workers, that's all mafia. Well, believe me, if the mafia wants this department here or that department, they're going to have it. So Trump can't come in and Elon Musk, what's he going to do? The mafia will kill him. They'll eat him alive. So you're not cutting anything. And the mafia, I guarantee you, will not allow CBDCs because they want to sell their drugs and get money because that way there's no trail. So believe me, the last thing they want is a paper trail of, yeah, use my CBDC to buy all your drugs. And then, oh, yep, you're going to jail because we got it. There's no way they're going to let that happen. So there might be CBDCs. It'll be like Bitcoin. There's Bitcoin, but we don't have to buy it. We can still use the dollars. The banks aren't going anywhere. They'll go out, but then they'll get bailed out, and then they'll switch dollars. They don't care what dollars they use. If it's gold-backed dollars or the USD #2 or the euro number 2. They don't care as long as they have something to play the game with. And that's where the problem is. So where we want it all rosy and nice and have gold-backed currency and everything, it's hard to get to. However, when it blows up because you're bankrupt, that's what happens. That's really how you end the corruption, because they can't corrupt anymore. The dollar's worthless. They can't do anything. And so we're just seeing what's going to happen. The dollar is going out. We are bankrupt. We just don't know it yet. We don't have assets. China's dumping everything. So his answer is tariffs, which we know has caused the depression. Although FDR really caused it with all the government programs, taking our gold, and then basically raising taxes, and all this tariffs and stuff was terrible. So there was no reason for the Great Depression except for FDR and the government programs and raising taxes, to try to get money. I love that. Whoa, we'll raise taxes. Yeah. And then you don't get any revenue. Even the whole taxing system's totally illegal, not in the Constitution. We shouldn't be paying a nickel in taxes. In the 1800s, you didn't pay tax. And until 1913, you didn't pay tax till the Federal Reserve came in. So somehow it's, you made $100. Well, you're going to give me 20% of that. The fuck would I give you? Well, why am I giving you 20%? And that's the problem. And it's bullshit. And it really keeps the people down, because we should have a lot more money working, but we don't, because we got to pay it up in taxes. So there's a big problem with we don't use our Constitution, unfortunately. So the tariffs are going to be bad news. There's no way they can be good news. What he gains on taxing China, maybe they won't sell us goods because they don't want our dollar. They're getting inflated dollars back, so they'll just say, fuck it, we'll just sell to Japan, and we'll sell to Russia, and we'll sell to Europe and Africa, whatever. So you got to be careful with the tariffs, and they're going to hurt us because things will cost more, which we won't want to buy. So it's bad news all the way around, tariffs. Can you get rid of the income tax so we don't pay taxes that way? We only pay sales tax. Good luck. I don't want to pay income tax, but that's the problem. And he knows we spend better than the government, as I've discussed the last few shows. We will shop much better than the government shops. And if you want to recover, you want the money in the private sector, us, in our hands, than in the public sector, the government. Because the government doesn't shop at Target and doesn't shop at Kroger's. That's the real problem. So good luck for Trump. I don't, he doesn't know what he's in for. He's going to get killed. There's nothing he can do. If he does have the gold, then that better be 40, 50,000 an ounce real soon to bail himself out. Otherwise, he's fucked. There's no point in having gold-backed T-bills, because if you have the gold, then just sell the gold. Why would you sell T-bills? Because the T-bill is a debt, right? So if somebody pays, buys my T-bills, I owe him the money, right? So I have to pay the guy, let's say in 2 years, I got to pay him 3%. So he's bought gold-backed currencies, and then I owe him the money, and I got to pay it. Well, why not just sell the gold? And then you don't owe anybody anything. You sell the gold, and you get the money. And since you can price it, you price the gold at 10,000 an ounce. So why wouldn't you just do that? Why would you have gold-backed T-bills? That makes no sense, because it's an IOU, and I have to pay it back. So that makes no sense. Let's see what else. What else do we have? So gold crisis in London. Here's an interesting one. Gold hits new record price on shortage claims. The fuck are they talking about? There's no the whole gold, there is no gold, so it's all shortage, but that's not why it hits a record price. It's the demand for bricks wanting gold. The demand for gold is what makes it go up. And the fact that they can't do the derivatives down, apparently, they got to get out of their short positions. That's why gold's going up, because of the demand for gold through bricks and for our little selling. Europe is fucked. That's a good one. We already know that. We is in full-blown crisis mode. Here's what that means for the world. That means that they won't be able to buy anything. So, Luke, when we travel to Europe, we'll get everything cheap because their money's worthless. We can buy Berlin with an ounce of gold. I don't like this show at all. This Charlotte McLeod and Andy Scheckman. Andy Scheckman gets on every show, and the guy's an idiot. The biggest financial crisis in U.S. history? Yeah, because their money's worthless. We know all this. That's why I don't even have to listen to it. Ooh, the dam is breaking. The most important gold and silver market warning ever. Buy it because it's going up. Yeah, we don't know that either. This is why it's hard for me to watch any of this. I already know all this, right? This is what I'm teaching you. And these guys, I don't know what they're thinking. Then we've got the housing market collapsing. And then the stock market. The stock market would be collapsed, but they keep printing money to boost the stock market. I heard we lost like $1 trillion in stock. The market lost the trillion because of China came out with this AI and it's free. Makes no sense. So all the Nvidia and all these stocks got crushed because why would I pay for it if I can get it free from China? Let's see.
Everything is priced in dollars, or it's priced in euros or pounds or yen. And so it's very difficult to make this association. They don't see the value of their money is going down. They see that the price of goods is going up. But of course, it is the opposite. So when you talk to people about why having gold is an important thing, explain what gold does. When you have it in your portfolio, the function it performs by just sitting there.
If you take the cost of a house today, in 1920 in the US, it's about the same in the UK, you bought a house for about 250 ounces of gold. So that was $5,000. Today, you pay 250 ounces for a house in the US, but that's no longer $5,000. That's $650,000. And nobody ever sees that because they think prices are going up, prices are going up. As you say, there's the value of their money, which is going down.
This woman exposed the real
Oh, I like this one. This is it. This is a good one.
Bill Gates in just a few seconds.
Bill Gates did not invent anything. The basic program was made by some mathematics professors in a college. The Office operating system was by a software engineer, and he bought it for $50,000. He's built the empire by creating patents on software. And the first WTO meeting in Singapore gave him tax concessions, which is why all the IT industry moved to India. The fact that Silicon Valley became India's Silicon Valley is because they could save $40 billion annually. It was an outsourcing of software, all for Bill Gates. And then he started to put some of his money into philanthropy. And everyone thinks, wow, he's such a generous man. He gives so much. Every place he gives to is his former future markets.
If you're thinking of gold,
Nailed Bill Gates there. I like that one.
Gold could go up by multiples that we don't even understand today. If we get the hyperinflationary period, the Germans would remember Weimar Republic and with a trillion marks for an ounce of gold. So it's meaningless to measure. We know that gold will at least continue to be equal to purchasing power and therefore maintain purchasing power and probably also do better than purchasing power because of all the forces that are now going into gold for protection, for investment. When you talk about mining companies, you follow these successful people, McEwen and Rob, I'm a fantastic peer behind him. I'm sure that the winners, although this industry has been difficult, good people have always built successful companies, and I'm sure McEwen will be one of them. Or is already, but even more so.
Welcome, the anointed ones.
Don't kiss their ass again. Now here's a good one. The truth about Bitcoin for all you Bitcoiners.
In every crazed period in history, there was a product or products or a belief of people that went beyond anything realistic. And that's what cryptocurrencies become. First of all, let's talk about a couple of facts that we know. A lot of money's been lost to cryptocurrencies. You may still be hearing because of, I think, the greatest Ponzi scheme marketer that ever walked on the earth, who was the biggest believer and the person that they quote the most about it. But there's been a wholesale amount of dollars lost in an unbelievable amount. Let's not forget, it was just a couple of years ago, people were buying real estate on computers. How much was lost in that, and now meme coins. And I think historians are also going to look back and say, listen, we should have known something was wrong when they were naming coins bots. I mean, seriously, I don't mean that to be nasty or anything, but that's the extent of what it's come to. I'm certain at the peak of the tulip mania, there were people being viewed as Mr. Tulip or Mrs. Tulip themselves. But the bottom line is, the first thing that made me turn against it is the manner in which the key spokesperson went about themselves. Here was a person just a couple of years ago telling everybody, sell your stocks, your bonds, your real estate, borrow against your house, and if you're going to buy cryptocurrencies, buy only one, buy Bitcoin.
Take all your money, buy Bitcoin. Then take all your time, figure out how to borrow more money to buy more Bitcoin. Then take all your time and figure out what you can sell to buy Bitcoin. And if you absolutely love the thing that you don't want to sell it, go mortgage your house and buy Bitcoin with it. And if you've got a business that you love because your family works for the business, it's in your family for 37 years, and you can't bear to sell it, mortgage it, finance it, and convert the proceeds into the hardest money on earth, which is Bitcoin.
Economic investing rule 101. You never put everything in anything. You don't put everything into dry food, ammo, none of that. You have, that's the first thing. Okay. The second, it's been an investment product that has continuously searched for a viable reason to support why it's going to be. Remember, it was at first going to be something that was just going to be used in view of money. Everywhere you're going to go, you're going to be able to use Bitcoin. It's not going to be because the technology has never gotten to the point where it allows that. Some of the newer things may get to that point, but it won't be Bitcoin. The second thing is some of the people who were once adamant against it suddenly said it was better than sliced bread. Now, what happens to have the last name of Fink? Now, when I was a kid, they told us never trust a Fink. And in this case, I think they were right. Because not only did this person a few years ago basically call it criminal, nothing changed in it. None of the technology or anything. What changed is the company that he runs realized it can make hundreds of millions of dollars by trading it. And I tell everybody is if he's so convinced that that is the new answer, take all his compensation, including the compensation that the exchange trade funds make, take it in Bitcoin. Don't take it in money, which they still do. They take it in money. But more important than that, it's really nothing more, in my view, of multi-level marketing tied to a Ponzi scheme. And how brilliant this guy is, Saylor. Don't get me wrong. I think Bernie Madoff sits in hell totally envious and jealous what Saylor's done compared to what he was able to do. He found a way to self-propel his Ponzi scheme by getting a company that people invested in, took that, buys Bitcoin. That causes the value of that stock to go up to allow him to get more money to borrow against to buy it, and in a sense becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The issue will come down to this, And this will decide whether or not Peter Granish was right or wrong over the next couple of years, whatever it's going to take to run this course of this thing. The people that still have money and the people that are moving money around the world are central banks. That has not changed yet. I can't say it won't, but it happened. They are not only not buying Bitcoin, but they're buying gold like it's going out of style.
Right.
That's the main reason gold has done as bullish. Remember now what I've done back at the end of 2021. I decided to sell all my general equities, but one, on the belief gold was going to go up in price better than stocks and bonds. And guess what? It has.
Mm-hmm.
It's had a gain that even I didn't expect in terms of percentage-wise. Why? Because central banks recognize two things. And this I'll stand till I'm blue in the face or I'm overrun by crypto nuts. The bottom line is they recognize that paper assets in general are in trouble, particularly certain countries, including our own. That's why they've been liquidating treasury bonds and things of that nature. And second of all, eventually, this whole world debt problem, which we didn't talk about, it's not just the United States that's heavily indebted. The whole world is going to have to be solved with a new type of system and a change. And whatever that change is going to be, whoever's going to participate in it is going to want something more than paper.
Right.
Gold worked for a couple thousand years. They looked around and said, you know what? It's still the best thing around. And so that's why the talk of the Bitcoin becoming a reserve currency is just promotional marketing stuff and kind of stuff. Because how could you make something that's so volatile and so swung and deep before without any substantial track record? You know, people talk about, oh, look how much it's up percentage-wise. But people don't know this. And you're too young enough maybe to remember this either. But the penny stock movement in the 80s was built around the same concept. A few people got involved with a penny thing. They traded it. They got it up to $2, $3, $4. Then they came out with the story about why this thing is going to the moon, and that brought in the public. That's the same thing what happened with Bitcoin. When they tell you, oh, it's up 3,000% or whatever the number is, you know how many people participated in that? Not that many. The person who has bought Bitcoins to cost is much higher than $1, or when they say it was a few hundred or a few $1,000s and all. And in just a couple of years, it's gone from 60 to 70,000 to a high to a little over 100. That's great. But you know what? There are stocks that have done even better than that with a whole bunch of people participating. So I just know you bet against it. I give you the last example, and it was a shame that this person who I have great personal liking for, and I'm not going to name them, but was a big diehard on silver, ran a very everyday YouTube channel followed by tens of thousands of people every day. Silver. Silver again, disappointed some again, and we can talk about that. A couple of weeks ago, has now turned everything into backing one of these so-called fart coins. And those are the type of things that happen at the top of movements, not in the early stages of the movements. Not to say that it can't last for a few more days or weeks or even months, but that is not the point in time. And that's why I think, and my whole attitude for our financial planning group is, what's changed most dramatically? People have asked me, I got asked this the other day, what's changed most for you as a planning person all than, say, the last 20 or 30 years? Up until about 2-3 years ago, the primary purpose should have been trying to make capital appreciation. Now you need to focus on capital preservation. It's not how much one's going to make. It's how much someone doesn't lose.
Yeah.
That will be the difference on whether they win or lose. So I went a long way. I've not taken the time to explain my Bitcoin, but for you, I'd be more than glad to have done that. And can it still work? Can it still go higher? Will there be survivors of it or different forms here? I think blockchain technology is here to stay. But you bet against people like Saylor and Kaiser. You don't bet on them. And that's just the attitude that I'll take. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. Luke, the stock market is a total sham. It's a Ponzi scheme. They're just selling it, and Michael Douglas is buying it, and then you buy it, and he sells it, and you get fucked. And that's always been the case. That's why I very rarely have stocks. And if I do, it was gold stocks, of which I'd get in and out in a day or two. And I never wanted to hold a stock for a long time. I thought it was a stupid idea because all of a sudden you wake up and the stock's down $50. And you're like, what the fuck happened? That happened in my gold. I'd have gold and it would do the double dip at 10:30. So when I'm trying to get into it, when it's going up, it would go back down. And then I'd be stuck waiting for it to go up. So I'd wait a few days, and one day you'd wake up and it's down $5. Now you're really fucked. So that's the stock market. It's totally a joke. That's why they run the country, because it's Wall Street, right? All the Wall Street banks run the country. And you got to be, if you're not in with them, you're fucked. You're not going to win in stocks. You're not going to win in Bitcoin. The only thing we can win in is football games and gold. That's the only thing we can win at because we can control it. Unfortunately, Bitcoin is doing what gold should be doing. Well, gold will be doing it soon. It's Bitcoin. It can't be fudged because of the blockchain. Well, sure, it can be fudged because Saylor can buy a bunch of it and then he can sell a bunch of it. All the blockchain shows is who bought it. It doesn't control the price. So if Saylor buys 100 Bitcoins, okay, the price goes up, but then Saylor sells 500 Bitcoins. The price is going to go down. So the blockchain doesn't hold the price. It just says he bought it or he sold it. It's a true supply-demand structure. I don't know that it is because you don't even know what it is. At the end of the day, it's not backed by anything, and that's the real sort. Put it this way, it's not money. It's not backed by anything. It's just if Saylor's not buying and Fink's not fucking around with ETFs, the price is falling. And so I'm not quite sure that Ponzi schemes are supply and demand. It's like Madoff. It wasn't really supply. Well, his price didn't really go up. He just had a whole lot more money in that he could pay out. But he didn't. Well, I guess his value went up because people got in on the Ponzi scheme. And it can't be fudged with supply demand because it's fixed, but it's not constitutional. But it's not real. This is the part you're missing. It's not real money, and it's not backed by anything. You can't go to the store. You can't go to Kroger's and buy a steak with Bitcoin. That means it's not money. That means, what is it? I mean, it's just like this. It's just like a baseball card. The difference is I can hold the baseball card. I got baseball cards worth more than Bitcoin. So if we go here, here's a Michael Jordan rookie. He's $500,000. The difference is it's a real card. It's a PSA. It's graded, but it's $500,000 for the Jordan card. That's more than the Bitcoin. So, and it's not money either. I can't go to the grocery store with the Jordan card. That's what Bobby's kid keeps saying. Well, you can't go to the store with gold. They don't get it. I can't go to the store with a Jordan card either. That doesn't mean I shouldn't own it if I like Jordan. And it doesn't mean it's $500,000. Now, the value of the Jordan card will go to zero because it's $500,000. And the dollar will not have a value. It'll go to zero. But then people with gold will say, well, I'll give you an ounce for the Jordan card. And it'll be worth 10,000 ounces, $10,000 of gold-backed currency will buy you this $500,000 Jordan card. And that's how it'll get gold value, like a Rolex and these others. But they all have their, here's the Mantle card, 60,000. I'd rather have that than Bitcoin. Here's the Tom Brady. There's only 10 of his, $4 million. Would you rather have this or Bitcoin? $4 million. Right? Now, he's had this auction out for a while, but he's always been a few million because there's only 10 of it, and it's Tom Brady. So he doesn't have a market. There's no market for a $4 million 10 count Brady card. Nobody will buy it. So he's over market. And it's up to him to figure out what the market is. Maybe he sells it for 1 million, maybe 2 million, maybe 500,000. But he's certainly not getting a market at 4 million or somebody would buy it. So that's a perfect example of free trade and fair trade. In fair trade, it's not worth me to give you 4.3 million for the card. That's over. I don't think that's a fair value. That's what he's running into. That's the market, is the fair value. So when we talk Bitcoin, I don't think it's fair value to give 105,000 for a Bitcoin. And if I want 105,000, I'm going to buy 40 some ounces of gold, because I think gold's at 2,800, going to go a lot higher. So therefore, I'm going to make more money with my buying $100,000 worth of gold than buying one Bitcoin. And for me to make any money on it, it's got to go to 200,000. But I know my gold's going to double. I know my gold's going to get to 5,600 without a sweat. But Bitcoin's got to go to 200,000. It'll never happen. Plus, I don't even have the Bitcoin. And what if they say it's worthless? But if I have the gold, I have it. Then nobody can say it's worthless. As long that's why you buy physical. They can't print it, and they can't say it's worthless. Gold needs blockchain. No, it doesn't. That's silly. Gold doesn't need blockchain. Blockchain isn't the reason Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme. Bitcoin is not Bitcoin because of the blockchain, because it's not money and it's not being used as money. Money must be accepted. I should be able to go buy a pizza with Bitcoin, or go to the grocery store and buy 5 steaks with Bitcoin. I can't. Therefore, it's not money. That's the point. And, Kroger's doesn't accept Bitcoin. And if they don't accept it, it's not money. The blockchain is just simply a ledger, which I deal with every day at work. It's just simply the transactions. What's so good? That doesn't give anything value. You're confused on the value. It's not. You have it at your tennis store with the tennis rackets. You see who buys and sells the racket. You sell 10 rackets to Bobby. All right, so that's your ledger. That's your blockchain. That doesn't make the value of your tennis racket worth more. It's supply and demand. Is Bobby wanting to buy the tennis racket and saying, this is what I'm going to pay for it. And if you're too expensive, he doesn't buy it. Bitcoin is not being bought by people. It's Saylor and Larry Fink. There's only a few people buying Bitcoin. Not the general public is not buying Bitcoin. The general public does not have $100,000 to buy a Bitcoin with, and the general public can't afford it, first of all, and needs money for other things. So I think that's the Ponzi scheme part of it. You think Joe and Bob and Bill are buying Bitcoin. They're not. They don't have $100,000 to buy a Bitcoin. So that isn't even being done. This is not demand where, like gold is being bought by a lot of people. Me and you buy gold, central banks buying gold. That's supply and demand. The demand for gold forces the price up. That is not what's happening in Bitcoin, because it's very few people buying. It's mostly Michael Saylor and Fink buying Bitcoin, pushes the price up. And then they sell it, and the price goes to 106, and then it goes back to 90, and then it goes back to 106. That's just Larry Fink playing derivatives like he does with gold. The only difference is you can't do it in gold anymore because people are buying the gold and he's got to deliver. Bitcoin, since it's not real, nobody can really buy the Bitcoin. Russia cannot buy Bitcoin and ask for delivery because it doesn't exist. There's no Bitcoin. It's not real. Gold needs blockchain. No, it doesn't. Gold can easily go to $4,000. Yeah, that's 75%. Okay, is there a point to that? What do you mean by it? Gold will go to $4,000. It'll go higher than $4,000. I bought it at 1,700. It's at 2,800. I made 1,100. I almost made what? So 8. So I made about 60% on it, right? Buying it at 17. This I bought at 250. So I made how much percent on that? I paid 500 for this, but it was really only 1 ounce of 18 karat gold. That's why I advised don't buy jewelry. And now I could sell it for 2,100 because it's 3/4 of the 2,800. I won't because this is my graduation gift for getting my master's. But the difference is gold goes up 75%, can go up another 100% and another 100% and another 100%. To the point where it'll be the money. Bitcoin cannot be the money. This is what you got to understand. Bitcoin will never go to Kroger's. Bitcoin can never buy a house. It can never buy a Mercedes. You can't walk into Mercedes and say, yeah, I got a Bitcoin. I'd like to buy a Mercedes. They're not going to do business with you. A, they don't know the price of it. And B, if they don't have a Bitcoin thing to trade it, they can't accept the Bitcoin. Like me, I can't accept Bitcoin at Teaserking. I take Venmo and I take PayPal. That's it. I don't take you couldn't pay me in Bitcoin. I don't want it. It's not, I don't demand Bitcoin or think it's real, so I don't want it. What I would do if somebody paid me in Bitcoin, I would sell it to the bank, get my money, and go buy gold with it. That's what I would do. So my end item is gold and silver. Even with my paychecks, my end item is to go to the bank, take the money out, and go buy gold and silver. So in effect, I'm getting paid gold and silver. And that's it. And there's no taxes. At the end of the year, you got your money in a savings account, you got to pay tax on the interest. Not me. I don't pay a nickel. I don't have to declare the gold. I don't say I have gold. I don't have to. And I just made 75% in gold, but I don't pay a dime in tax. When I sell it, it depends how I sell it. If I have to pay 1099, believe me, that's another part you're missing in the Bitcoin. When you sell it, you're going to be 1099. They know you have it. They know you sold it, and they're going to be looking for their 30% or whatever on the capital gains tax. And it's going to be, well, what did you buy it for? Well, we'll just say you bought it for $1,000. You sold it for $100. So that's $99,000 at capital gains at 20%. So you owe us $18,000. This is the other factor, but again, it's not real. I mean, just think about it. You're hung up in it's blockchain. It's a ledger. It doesn't mean that doesn't give it value that it's a blockchain. So I don't know where that comes from. The value is in gold, it's limited. Does gold have a blockchain? No. Does it need a blockchain? No. Why does gold need a blockchain? Why do we need a blockchain with gold? We don't need a blockchain. Gold needs a blockchain. That's absolutely false. Why? Bitcoin needs one because it's not real, and you want to see, you want to show that you bought it, so it's in your account, so you can sell it, because they're trying to keep track of 21 million, but not gold. I don't need a blockchain. I go to the store, I buy it. I don't want anybody to know I have it, and there's no reason for a blockchain or a general ledger on gold. Nobody's tracking who owns it. Oh, the Russian central bank bought 5 tons of it or 100 tons of it. Well, why do you need a blockchain for that? Nobody's keeping track of the gold. We're just keeping track of the price. And when the price hits 10 grand and you want to sell it, you go sell an ounce and you get 10 grand. Or you buy something worth 10 grand with the gold. I'll buy a Picasso. I'll buy a house. I'll buy a car. That's the point of the gold. You don't need a blockchain for it. Where do you get this stuff, Luke? Gold needs blockchain. Blockchain doesn't value Bitcoin, and it doesn't value gold. It doesn't value anything. It's a fucking ledger. Somebody bought something. Oh, you bought a pizza on Bitcoin with a Bitcoin, so it's on a ledger so they can keep track of your balance. it doesn't mean anything. There's no value in it. So that's just crazy. All right. So that's that. Let's go quickly to the Super Bowl. Not much at this point. Right now, we've got Kansas City 1.5, and there's a 48.5 and a 49 for the total. Now, as I say, Mahomes will win the game because that's what he does. Barkley will do it. I think it's a over. I think at this level, I would take Kansas City in 4.5. I think Philly in 7.5 is good because KC's not going to blow you out. Philly with Barkley will have enough to do things. I think it'll be a close game, and I think it'll be a high-scoring game. Now, G emailed me with a prop. Now she picked two games, and then she picked two parts of this, and then she put in a player's prop. And she said, "I know you don't like them," and I said, so she wanted Kareem Hunt, the running back for KC, and says, and like anytime touchdown. And I said to her, the problem is Philly's got a really good defense, and Jalen, the guy from Georgia, Jalen, whatever, the defensive tackle, it's not going to be easy for them to run in for a touchdown. I says, Mahomes will throw for touchdowns, but I wouldn't think Kareem Hunt's the one. I think if you can bet Mahomes to throw a pass for a touchdown, that would work. Or Kelsey catching an anytime touchdown, maybe. There'll probably be these other receivers, Smith-Schuster or somebody catching it because they'll be all over Kelsey. And this is the problem with the props. Well, against Philly's defense, I wouldn't say anybody in KC is going to get an anytime touchdown. However, Barkley's odds are probably so shitty. I wouldn't say that. You can't go with Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. They're not going to do shit. So it's maybe Hurts running for a touchdown, Barkley running one, but the odds are probably 500 to 1 against that he'll get one. So that makes it difficult. So the game's next week. I read something that it's fixed that KC will win and Kelsey will retire and he'll propose to Tyler Swift at midfield after the game. And it's scripted. It's the WWE. It's Ric Flair. Well, I know I'm going to win, but nobody knows how. I don't buy that. Now, he's probably said he'll propose to her after the game. I can see him retiring. He's in his late 30s. So that's probably real. I think they're hoping KC wins. But I don't think they're going to win. Philadelphia's just going to lay down. I don't buy that. They do want the three-peat. So it's if they get the three-peat, I could see Kelsey retiring. Who knows? Maybe Andy Reid retires. And they all retire after three-peating. Oh, Mahomes wouldn't retire. He's too young. But marrying Kelsey getting married is probably already said, right? I'm going to marry you after the game. Hopefully we win, but I'm going to propose to he will propose to her, win or lose after the game, I would imagine. Now, the thing with Taylor Swift and the NFL, where they want her in it, and she brings young boys and girls to watch it, and I don't buy any of that shit. People watch football for one reason, to bet it. We think Taylor Swift is an annoyance, not part of it. That's just the new culture thinking, Oh, I'm going to watch it because Taylor Swift's on. So go watch one of her musicals or one of her videos. You don't watch the Super Bowl to see Taylor Swift. She's not on much, and it makes you sick anyway. So I don't buy that the NFL wants KC to win and so you watch Taylor Swift and they want KC to do well. KC just does well because they got Mahomes. The fact Swift's there is absolutely meaningless. The refs aren't making calls. One of these guys on the radio said that all these bad marks against Buffalo, and the refs make bad marks against everybody all game. The guy will get to the 40-yard line, they mark him down at the 39. That's been going on all year. That's not a Kansas City thing. That's every team. These refs are marking the knee hitting, not where the ball is. They should be marking. So if I get the ball to the 40 and my knee hits on the 39, the ball got to the 40. But they're marking the ball where the knee hits. And I think they're trying to add drama to it. That's why every touchdown, just about, unless it's just a no-brainer, is reviewed. And there's a flag, so there's adding drama to is it a touchdown or not, even though all the teams are running off the field and celebrating, they know it's a touchdown. So a lot of these flags are bullshit, interference or defensive holding calls just to make the drama of did they get the touchdown. It's a control thing. It's just like AI. I was telling a guy at work, he's an engineer, about AI, and I said to him, AI cannot predict football the way I can because it's a feel thing. And, if there's an injury or, choking and stuff like that. And he said, well, if you code the algorithm properly, it will. And I go, like, no chance. He could call the algorithm. It still can't feel it like me. I can feel like I can say golf's a choker and they're going to lose. Or I can say Lamar's a choker and Buffalo's going to beat Baltimore, or Kansas City's going to beat Baltimore because Lamar's a choker. And if you see the algorithm, they had Buffalo as a favorite. I assume that's an algorithm making the line. And we ate it up and we had Buffalo because we know Lamar's a choke. And that's the point. The algorithm can't figure that out because they look at his stats. Oh, look, he's MVP of the league and 900 touchdowns and all this, but they can't figure out that it's bullshit. And that's the whole point of it. Anyway, just pointing that out. So that's the whole key to it. The algorithms can't do shit. But I don't buy that the game's fixed, that Kansas City's going to win so Taylor Swift can marry Kelsey and whatever, because it brings in viewers. It's the fucking Super Bowl. You're not bringing in – you don't need Taylor Swift to bring in viewers or to the championship game. They're not having KC get to the Super Bowl because of her. They've been to the Super Bowl without Taylor Swift 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. So I don't buy any of that shit. They certainly – I don't know what Taylor Swift has anything to do with football. I don't watch it because of her. I don't watch it because of these stupid announcers. Tom Brady, one of the worst announcers I've ever seen. Luke, the NFL seems rigged with the refs. Well, they're terrible refs. I think it's this DEI. They have refs. They have women refs because they're trying to meet these stupid DEI things. And I think it's just you have terrible refs who don't know what the hell they're doing, who shouldn't be roughing. It's sort of like what happened in California with the fires. You had some idiot mayor in LA and they didn't have water in their hydrants and they plugged up lakes and they don't have the dams anymore. That's why LA is so fucked. They don't have water to put the fires out. That's because of bad management, because they're not there because they're good qualified people like the fire the fire captain and stuff like that. They're there because they're a DEI type of person, and that's the problem. So, we believe none of this shit. The NFL's always had bad refs. Look at the New Orleans game when there was interference, they didn't call it. So there's always bad refs. And this instant replay is absolutely ridiculous, but that's okay. The good refs were there. I was just watching the Frisco Cincinnati Super Bowl, the first one, and when Montana wins it, and the refs are fine. I mean, you never noticed any of that, and it was called first down, not the line to gain. I like how they're trying to use socialism on us. Think about it. It's called social network or social media, whatever it's called. Think about that. They're trying to make it socialism, but it doesn't work, and we know it doesn't work. And if you're really strong, you go with, you get stoic. That's why I think a lot of stoic is you're very independent, you're very strong. I walk in the office, so there's this woman, and we were talking. And yesterday I went up to her, and she was kind of like cold to me. Okay, you're going to fuck with me? Really? So today at lunch, I just ignored her. She's sitting at the next table, and I just took out my phone, and I'm watching the ticker, and we got Bloomberg TV on. And then she comes to me, well, is everything okay? And I'm like, you didn't know you were fucking with a stoic, did you? So that's the key, is to be very strong and confident, and you don't take shit from anybody, as Rodney would say in Back to School. So that's really what you have. And I think we need to be strong and keep that. As far as the NFL, I think it gets a little rigged with maybe totals, not necessarily with the game. So if the total's 49, I think they figure out a way, everybody's betting it over, that they only score 48. I've seen some of those where these games should be high scoring and they're not. That you question, like Washington, Tampa, you just question that game, how that game didn't go over 44, it went 43. That one I really question. The Lions went over, and as it should have been. So I think that's it. Pittsburgh's in big trouble, I see. Is Russell Wilson going to Oakland and playing with Coach Pete? If they have Fields, they're fucked, because we know Fields sucks. And I love when they try to make, Fields was 4-2 this year. Yeah, against nobody. And Russell Wilson had to play Baltimore twice and Cincinnati twice and Philadelphia. So, of course, he lost. They had a real killer schedule down the stretch. So you want to blame Russell Wilson for losing those games and give Fields credit? Fields sucks. So you're not winning with Fields. He wants to run. And these running quarterbacks, they don't make the Super Bowl. CJ Stroud and Lamar, even Josh Allen or Jim Kelly, whatever. You don't win running the ball, you win passing the ball. Because you got to have your receivers get open. Otherwise, they'll let you run for 10 yards. But you're not going to score touchdowns like that. Anyway, so let's see. One more look at gold, and it's 10:20. I'm going to relax. Friday, I'm going to work from home tomorrow. So I'm starting to work from home, which is good. Now I have more work to do. I can do it. 27.97. Are we going to hit 28 already? Come on. Silver is kind of slumped down. It was 31.60. And then, but gold isn't. They're not doing the derivatives. So we got clear sailings for a little bit. So 27.97. Once it hits 2,800, it's going to fly through there, especially if they can't do derivatives. And this is what pisses me off, is everybody sitting there trying to analyze gold prices or try to compare them or technical analysis, and you can't, because when they're derivative and they're price fixed by paper, flooding paper derivatives into the gold, you can't possibly track that or trend that. It's impossible. So, once it breaks, if we ever get to free market, real free market on gold and silver, then you'll see that really high price because it'll just keep going because the demand from the central banks is huge. And then me and you buy some, and we could go buy 20 ounces. It wouldn't move the price of nickel. Now, if Poland buys 2,000 tons, it should move it, but it won't because the price is derivative based, as we know. Wilson went to the Pro Bowl. Well, they're playing flag football in the Pro Bowl. What kind of joke is that? Russell Wilson, I like. Very good player. Should be a Pro Bowler. I mean, I think Mahomes, obviously. Josh Allen. Who knows how many? Why are they doing flag football? Talk about idiotic and socialism. What is that? You're not even playing real football. You're going to do flag football. And they're trying to move it. I think it's in the Olympics, flag football. What the fuck is going on? So I don't know. I don't get it. I don't want to get it. Just leave me with my football game. Anyway, I think I'm going to, I got some cantaloupe that I cut up. I got to put away. And that's about it. So anything else, Luke, please feel free, or anybody. This is huge news with the gold, and I'll keep an eye on YouTube. Like this girl's on YouTube. Now, I don't go to MSNBC or the Communist News Network or any of those, CNN, because they won't tell you the truth. And I fear people go to that and they shouldn't. But that's what you're looking at. So from there, we'll see what's happening. But we see London, whatchamacallit, Pat came on and said London was emptying their vaults. So we don't know why. Is London selling? There's another thing. Let's use logic to figure out, is London selling their gold because they need money because they're broke? Maybe. I mean, did the U.S. buy their gold because we need gold to try to have gold-backed currency? Why? Or is it to pay off the derivative? I mean, those are two possibilities. London could have sold the gold because it's London's gold. Why are they selling it? Because they obviously need the money. They're broke. London is broke. Germany is broke. Italy, France. You got to understand, Europe's broke. Luke, we'll be paying like $10 at a hotel for a nice hotel. Food will cost us $2 because we'll have gold-backed money and not the euro crap. But you won't have demand, which means the prices will have to come down and the currency will have to be changed. And it's got to be gold-backed, but there's not enough gold out there to go back to euro, the U.S., the Chinese, the Russians, and all the BRICS countries. So I don't know what's going to happen, but the gold's going to get very, very expensive. And that's why I tell you, I was telling the guy at work, I says, he's going to talk to his wife about it. I says, you don't have time. You don't realize that. You have to buy it now before you can't get it, or you can't get it at 2,800, you're going to be paying 3,500 for it. So maybe you have 3,500, but it's going to be very expensive. And that's not even expensive. 10 grand's what is it? How much gold are you going to buy for 10 grand? I mean, before I could buy 5 ounces. Now I could buy 3 ounces. And that's really the thing of gold. I remember I took 80 grand out, and now to counter this Peter Grindridge, I do have everything in gold and silver, or my baseball cards. I have very little in cash. I don't have stocks, bonds, or a house. And as far as I'm concerned, everything should be in gold and silver because it's a sure thing. It's a lock. I mean, now I work, so I get some fiat currency, but I don't want to hold it. But there's no other place to put it. I'm not putting it in the stocks before it crashes. And the stock market will crash because people will need money. So the key is going to be, you have this inflation, you have the money worthless. you still need to eat and pay your rent and pay your utilities, dress your kids, clothes. You still want to go golfing. You still want to go play tennis. You want to go on a vacation. And so you're going to need money. And that's the bottom line is as things become more expensive, you have the money. And that's what it is. You need to, I just lost my train of thought about what I was going to say with it. But, so your assets, you're going to start selling your assets because you need the money, right? You still need to eat and everything else. So your money is worthless. So what do you have? Stocks, money in the bank. You're going to sell those to get money. And then there's going to be margin calls because most people are idiots and buy things on margin. And then where are you going to get the money? I got to sell stocks. And that's what's going to cause the stock market to collapse. People will need money and they're going to start selling it, which will create a frenzy. And the banks are going to go under because of these loans they loaned out that people won't be able to pay them back on. So they're going to have a bunch of bad loans. There goes the bank. You're going to have people needing money. There goes the stock market. And we'll be sitting there with our gold going, yes, what island do we want to buy? Hey, let's go buy Barcelona. Why not? I got a couple ounces of gold. I can buy it. $27.99 on mine, 2,800. I got 27. I'm still at 27.97. I don't know what you're looking at. This is as of 10:30, 10:29. So I'm current, but good. I'll take it. I won't argue with you. Now, once it breaks 28, then 28.10, 28.20, then now you'll start seeing close to 29. It's always a little bit of resistance, but if the people who are shorting it are no longer are getting out of their short positions, which is what that girl said. I don't know if she knows, but if that's what's happening, there will be no resistance for gold to go down. And then we hope to get free market, which you still don't have. This is not free market because this is paper. This is derivatives pricing, not gold. And who is buying derivatives? Just the JP Morgan, the bullion banks are controlling it. And then maybe the central banks are buying the gold off of them. But me and you are not in this, or we're not, is nowhere near free market. So that's what we're waiting for. Once it hits free market, then you'll just see it just boom. It'll go to 5,000-6,000 without batting an eye in a week. You're welcome, Luke. It's I think what I'm trying to do is explain what's real, but I'm trying to be impartial. I don't care about Bitcoin one way or the other. If it was real, I would have bought it, and it's not real. So I'm telling you not to buy it because it's not real. It's not backed by anything. That's the key to it, not the blockchain, but the backing. So, I'm just being very partial. I'm buying gold and silver because it's the best thing to buy because you can't inflate it. I like the way gold looks. I got baseball card. I got a Mickey Mantle card. Why? Because it's Mickey Mantle. So you're buying things that make sense. That's what I'm trying to present. And that's all it is. So, there's things people want to invest in, go invest in it. But I'd stay out of the stock market and I'd be careful. And I would not leave money in the bank because it's going to be bailed in and you're going to get fucked. So all I'm doing is trying to warn you. You can do what you want, but if you do, you got to be careful that you know more than me, which you don't. So that's the problem with it. There's a lady at work who's listening to a financial planner who told her to go buy an annuity at 9%. So she sold silver to buy the annuity. And I'm like, you're an idiot. I said, go talk to your planner about gold. And then when he says not to buy it, fire him. I don't think she did. But these people just don't know what they're doing. Or when you start talking to them about gold, they kind of pretend to be listening. And then you say, well, did you buy gold? And they, no, I didn't. And so, they're just really weak people that don't have the backbone to talk to you as a person and say, I'm not into gold. Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. I'm trying to explain it, but I'm getting tired of I don't want to turn people into gold. In other words, if you don't like it and you're in the market or you're in Bitcoin, fine, stay in it. That's okay. But if you don't want to open your mind and listen, you're going to pay the price, not me. I already got it. So I don't need, by me telling you to do it, is that. But that's what this is all about. So anyway, I still see 27.97, but that's fine. All right. Anything else? So again, Super Bowl, it's still a week away. I think KC wins it. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be fairly high scoring, although you do have two very good defenses. But I think these type of games, I don't know, they both could start running the ball to kind of run the clock to keep the other team off. That could happen. So I really haven't decided what I'm doing on it. Probably I'll take KC and then define over or under. I think it'll be close either way. And it at 50, under 56, probably gets there because Philly's not going to go up and down the field. I mean, they did it to Washington, who doesn't have a defense, and they did it to the Rams, was 28-22, was only a 50 with them. So they didn't really light them up. So hard to say. I think KC puts pressure on Hurts, though. So I think KC will win the game at the end of the day. Mahomes, just too much. But that's my thought on that. Anyway, I am getting ready for bed. I'm working from home tomorrow, so it's nice. I can just walk over to the computer and then go shower and have my coffee and my omelets and everything as I'm working. I got rent, so I won't run to the bank. I won't run to the gold store tomorrow. I don't have that extra unless I feel to take money out of my safe to go buy some gold or silver. That's a possibility, but I think my plan is to wait a week when I get my check and I'll have to see what Trump's doing with Social Security at this point. I'm probably going to turn it off for the year because then I got to owe them because I make too much money, and I know I'm going to make too much money this year. So we will see. But anyway, we'll see what's going on. But I think I'll wait a week. For silver, I can definitely wait. And if I need to just buy silver or buy quarter ounce gold, I'll just do that. I'm just trying to accumulate. The more I have, the more they're worth, the better off I am, and my family will be. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. Anyway, that's about it. So have a good night. www.teaserking.com, but I'm giving you the Super Bowl, so you're not going to buy it. Tomorrow's Friday. I should do some. We'll talk about what's going on with the gold. Saturday, Sunday morning, I normally do with football. There's no football. Excuse me. So I'll probably still do class. If I don't do Saturday, I'll do Sunday. But we'll still talk economics. Right now, gold's the hot topic. So I'm trying to be consistent with what I see, like this shipment coming from England. So news like that, I want to keep you informed of. And if they're all done shorting it, then that's huge news. Then you got a week to buy it because it's going to be $3,000, and you better buy it then. But it's all being held down by derivatives, so you understand why it's not $10,000 gold and $2,000 silver, but that's where it's headed to. So keep that in mind. All right, everybody, have a good night. www.teaserking.com. Send me an email if you'd like. Anyway, buy your gold and silver. It's the only lifeboat out there, and you will need them. All right. Take care, everybody.